let's talk quickly about some of the key steps in doing this titration. The first thing I'm going to do is to rinse my burette. Now you might think that we'd rinse it with water because that would remove any contaminants, but the problem with that is that then some of that water would stay stuck in the burette. And so when I added the solution into there, I might think I knew the concentration, but actually it would have been a little bit diluted. So today I'm going to do my titration with some sodium hydroxide, so that's what I'm going to rinse this with. So, funnel in, I'm going to put this on the floor. And the reason I'm doing that is that it's actually really unsafe to be pouring things above your head. So to start with, I'm just going to fill up that burette completely. And the reason we're using a burette is twofold. One thing is that I can add really, really tiny volumes of solution. So when I'm getting close to my endpoint, I can add this solution dropwise, and that's going to mean that I can really accurately judge my endpoint. And then the other reason is that it has a really precise scale. So I'm just going to put this out into my waste, by the way, this is getting thrown away. So all of my titer volumes are being recorded to 2 decimal places, which is way more precise than I could be with, say, a dropping pipette. So once I've let this through completely, then I can say that my burette is clean, I've removed any contamination that's been left over by the last person, and then I'll be able to refill it with the solution that I'm going to do my titration with. So you have to remember that with titration, you always know the concentration of one of the solutions and not the other, and you're using the reaction between them to work out the concentration of the solution that you don't know about. This is quite a slow burette. So that waste is just going to go down the sink eventually. And I think I'm going to need a bit more sodium hydroxide than that. So I'm never pouring directly from the stock bottle because then it would be really easy for me to contaminate my stock, and that would not be ideal. So back on the floor, safety first, refilling, and I'm going to fill over the 0 mark and then let some of it out into my waste. Technically I don't need to start on 0 at all, I could start on a completely different number because as long as I write down my starting volume, that's okay. Now I'm going to make sure I'm taking my funnel out because that funnel has still got a few drips in, and if those drops fell down into my burette, then I wouldn't be able to say what the volume had actually been. So all of my volumes I'm measuring from the meniscus, so from the lowest part where the surface tension of that liquid is. So that's on 0 now. So next up, conical flask. We're using a conical flask because it's got these sloped sides, so when we're swirling, nothing's going to splash out. So this is going to be my hydrochloric acid, and I'm using a pipette which has an incredibly low uncertainty. So this one has it marked on it as plus minus 0.06 centimetres cubed, which is a really, really tiny uncertainty. So it's a really good piece of equipment for when we're just measuring out a single volume. So I'm always going to use this to measure 25. So again, I'm going to be measuring my volumes at eye level, and I want that meniscus to be right on that calibration line there. And then that can go into my conical flask. Now, of course, I'm not going to see any colour change at all if I don't have an indicator. There are loads of different indicators you can use. The favourite one for Year 11s tends to be phenolphthalein because it turns this really nice hot pink colour. But to start with, we're going to put it in an acid. And in an acid or in a neutral solution, phenolphthalein doesn't have a colour, it's colourless. Now we're just going to add a couple of drops because otherwise it could change the pH. So, waste out the way. My conical flask is going on a white tile. Actually my benches are quite pale, but this is going to help us to visualise that colour change. Because ideally we want it to be quite subtle. Okay, so to start with, I'm just going to open my burette tap and let it through quite quickly, because to begin with, it's not really getting neutralised. You can maybe see a little bit of a flash of pinky purple as the alkali goes in. And then as we get a little bit closer to the end point, we're going to start using our wash bottle to rinse down the sides of the conical flask and also the outside of the burette. And that's okay, because even though we're diluting the solution that's in here, when we do our calculations, we're not going to re-measure the volume that's in here. We're going to say, oh, we put in 25 centimetres cubed at the start. So if I add a bunch of water, it's not actually going to affect any of my calculations. But what it is going to do is make sure that any sodium hydroxide that's come out of here has ended up in here. So As we get nearer to our end point, we're going to start adding smaller and smaller portions, and we're looking for the first permanent colour change. Oh, very close. So I'm now setting my burette to drip in, so I can go dropwise at the end, and again I'm going to rinse it down to make sure everything ends up in there, and keep swirling. And there we go. That final drop suddenly makes the colour change happen because we've reached the end point.